second rounders in this draft?
All right. So, what's up, y'all? Welcome back to Pro Pels Talk. We're live here on StreamYard. First time we've ever done this. So, shout out Elliot Clough for pitching this to us. Who does Pelicans Plus? Anyways, wanted to get on here, and I wanted to talk about today with Ross of. I think people are automatically like saying that we're going to trade this pick if it's not top 4, and I don't think that's a great way to look at it. People think that we can turn this pick and another pick and other picks and players into a Bradley Beal or some of those guys. Ross, small market teams have to build through the draft. What are your thoughts?
Well, yeah, I mean, I agree to a certain extent that they have to build through the draft. I mean, I think everybody has to build through the draft. You can't. It's not unlike other sports. It's the cheapest labor you're going to get. So if you nail especially once you get into that 7, 8, 9, 10, mid first round, if you can nail something in there, you've got cheap quality labor that you can keep around for a while. I wholeheartedly disagree that we're going to trade this pick if it's not in the top 4. I actually see a little bit of potential value for when you talk about the guys that, who are some of the guys that keep getting brought up in free agency, right? People want Duncan Robinson, guys shooters. I think there's actually a few similar-ish players that are going to be in that, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 range. I think that there's opportunity there just to go ahead and stay where you're at. And I don't know how much weight those picks carry at this point in the draft. Like, so let's just say we stay at 10. Well, what kind of value? That's right. Like, you're not going to, it's valuable to you because you own it, but is it really valuable to someone else that's thinking about giving up a star? Because if you're just moving that player for a run of, if you're moving that for a run of the mill veteran, well, does that move the needle much?
Right.
So I don't know. I mean, it's always a pie in the sky, right? Like, oh yeah, we're going to move the 10th pick and the Lakers pick next year or whatever. I mean, I just don't see those deals. I hope they happen. Let me back up. If we can package this pick and another pick and go get a star, well, try to do it without. I just don't think that's there. I think that's unrealistic.
You think it's unrealistic for somebody like just say Bradley Beal. Like, I don't even think a top 4 pick even moves the needle for Bradley Beal, because you have to get, as we talked about this all year. What did the Brooklyn Nets give up to go get James Harden? They gave up multiple picks. They gave up Karis LeVert, Allen. Like, they gave up pretty good pieces as well. The Pelicans, if you wanted to go for Bradley Beal, what could you honestly give up? And I already know your first 2 names will be Nickeil Alexander-Walker and Jackson Hayes. And then what?
Yeah, I mean, you just load up a bunch of picks. I don't think I'm of the theory, and I have been for a while, that trade is just not going to happen.
Let's talk about some small market teams that have done very well, right? Obviously, the Golden State Warriors, when they had the Thompson, Draymond Green, Curry draft, that was unbelievable. But then you have the Nuggets. They had MPJ, they had Jokic, and they had Murray. That was really good over 4 or 5 years. Let's talk about Memphis, who I think Jaren Jackson, I think Ja Morant, they have something going on. Even, let's talk about.
But they're a good example, though. Let me just stop you right there. Yeah, they're a really good example, because that's a team that everybody in our, a lot of Pelicans fans always look at and say, well, they're not, we feel like we're better than Memphis. We're not. We're not right. And if you look at how Memphis did it, right, you hit on Jaren Jackson. Obviously, Ja Morant was second pick in the draft. I mean, even Jackson, I think, was pretty high, maybe 4th or 5th or something like that. But look at the other guys contributing for him this year. Desmond Bane out of TCU. He was a guy that we liked last year, a shooter, played a ton. Grayson Allen, Xavier Tillman. They've got a team. I mean, and now they have some other good players in there too, right?
Right, but they've got the nucleus right there.
And not all of those picks were top 2 picks. Not all of those picks were guys that you got in the first couple, top 3 picks.
Right.
There's value, incredible value in being able to hit. It's hard, but if you can land something in that 8 to 10 range, and I just feel like this year, of the type of players that the Pelicans are, or at least we're hearing they're going to pursue, right? Point guards, shooters. I think there's some of those type of, even some all around type players that are going to be available 8 to 12. I just, this doesn't feel like, going back to your original question, I don't think it matters. Like, look, if we land in the top 4, we're all going to be excited as shit.
Right.
But like, if that doesn't happen, I don't think we just instantly trade the pick, because I just don't know how much value it has in a trade.
Right. That's what I'm saying. And like, that's where everyone's all like, we're trading the pick. I was like, I don't think we really do, because go look at the Suns. Now I know it's taken a couple of years to blossom, but DeAndre Ayton, Devin Booker. Go look at the Raptors, OG Anunoby, Pascal Siakam. Like they've been found in the draft. And so like, for you to say like, yep, we're trading this pick, like I wouldn't necessarily say that you're trading the pick. So, I hope we obviously land in the top 4 today, but if we get 10, how like, do you really think that moves the needle for any team? Like, oh, I want the number 10 pick overall.
And and again, just to repeat, that's the really difficult part about these sort of hypotheticals, right? Because no, the 10th pick isn't getting you what you want. The 10th pick in combination of like, with multiple other picks that we own in the future, some young players. Well, like those are trades that get hard to just, hypothesize out of nowhere, right? Like I can come up with all kind of crazy shit that could happen, but the likelihood of those things happening between now and the draft are like slim and none.
Right.
And so what you'd be looking at is, if it stays at 10, is there a player that you like in that range? Is there a couple players, 3 or 4 players that you like in that range? Or what are you looking at in terms of some kind of much larger package for a player? I actually think the higher the pick goes, the better the chance we have of trading it. Like I flip on that.
Explain.
I think if this pick, let's say we luck into a top 4 pick, I think there's a higher likelihood of us then trading that pick than it is if we just sit at like 8, 9, 10.
Well, we can't.
11.
So it's like we can't get you can't get 5 through 9. I don't.
Right.
The NBA draft life is so weird, but you can either get 1 through 4 or 10 through 12, whatever it may be. And that's something we need to clear up for the viewerships. But like at the same time, I don't think that you necessarily trade. Everyone's like, we're trading the pick to get an all-star. Like who? No. Let's like, you're not getting Bradley Beal. You're not going to get Dame Lillard. Like CJ McCollum's like even borderline. Like you got to hit on the draft, and you have to be very, very extremely intelligent and smart of who you target in free agency.
Yeah. And I don't think
that's it.
To your point, I don't think any of those guys that everybody wants come into play unless that pick lands top 3, top 4.
And here, if you're in the top 4, you keep it. Like you go get a Green, get a Cunningham. Go.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, you're not going to get Cunningham. That's the thing.
Well, you get number 1. I mean,
so you're taking a chance. I mean, yeah, I don't. I think, like I said, my opinion is that if the pick lands that high, there's a better likelihood of it getting traded, because then I think people are going to be more willing to listen to a deal. And it's going to be easier to package things together, because, the teams, right, that have these players that we're looking at, they're going to be more intrigued by the 4th pick, the 3rd pick, than they would be at the 10th.
So just say, I don't know how it happens. So get the number 3 overall pick, and your choices are Jalen Green, Jalen Suggs, or trade. What would you do?
It's kind of an impossible answer to question. Question answer.
It depends obviously on the trade target, but at the same time, like you get one of those guys, I'm not trading that. Why would I trade that? Like imagine if, imagine if Suggs just burst onto the scene and is just unbelievable Zion. Like now you got Zion in his 3rd year.
The flip of that is it's very difficult, bordering on impossible, to make a run and deep in the playoffs with a rookie point guard. I think if you then trade that 3rd pick for a very good player, that then catapults us into a spot of relevance next year. And I'm not saying sacrifice the entire future, but like I'm ready to be relevant. We've got enough picks.
Yes.
You got 5,000 picks over the next like 5 or 6 years. If we trade the one this year for an all-star, like I'm perfectly happy with that.
And so am I. But at the same time, what all-star?
No, I agree.
I just don't know.
And so it's easy to say, well, you're just going to keep it because everybody gets excited about the draft and they get excited about all these young players. I get it. I understand it. It's sort of human nature, right? It's like the shiny new thing. But you know what else would be shiny and new for us?
What's that?
Making the fucking playoffs.
That'd be pretty cool. And even the better part is that the playoffs have expanded to 10 teams now. There's really no excuse to miss it with Zion and Brandon.
And you just saw it.
And they were healthy.
Look, and you just saw what Drew Holiday did, right? Drew Holiday traded. Milwaukee packages up all this shit, trades for Drew Holiday. What happens? Goes to a really good team, sees they're a championship contender, and he signs long term. That is the thing that people forget. It's like, whoa, what are you going to do? Trade for, one of these veterans that's on a team that wants to move them, and you get them for a year or two? Not necessarily.
Right.
You start off the year hot as wildfire, and they realize, fuck, we got a nucleus here that might be able to win a championship. That's when you start talking about now you've got a long-term thing.
And you become a destination.
Zion is, Zion and BI are so young still. Like, those guys aren't that to me is the route, right? Like, if we hit in the draft, great. I mean, that's like I said, I started off this thing by saying cheap labor is the best labor, right? And you only get that through the draft. But at the same time, becoming fucking relevant is
half the battle, maybe.
Deal. And like, you got to get those guys here, and then you got to win with them here, and then you start talking about Milwaukee is no better city to live in than New Orleans.
No, it's where what is there to do in
it's
Milwaukee?
No better city to live in.
That's what I'm saying. Like Portland, like go look at
those guys are staying there because they have a chance to win.
Because they like play. Yes, and like people will be attracted to playing with Zion Williamson, Brandon if they start winning. That's why winning is everything.
So exactly, if this pick lands in the top 4, I think you absolutely trade it. I think if it stays at 10, you keep it. I rest my case.
Kind of like it. But at the same time, does a top 4 pick, does that, I mean, you're still packaging a player.
Yeah.
You're still packaging a player.
Right.
You got to package a Hayes, you got to package a Null, you got to package
Kyra. Give somebody else something else. Yeah.
I still really like Kyra. I'm still high on Kyra. Anyways, this is kind of a little bit of a test run, but this is a lot of fun. So we're going live now. I guess that's pretty cool. So Periscope, or not Periscope, StreamYard. So any questions? Thanks for joining, guys. And this will go up on YouTube and all that stuff. But we'll be back on the podcast probably next week, maybe tomorrow. We might,
probably after we see where the pick lands. Yeah.
See what pick lands. So here's your open 1 through 4, guys. As always, you can follow us on Pro Pels Talk on Twitter or Instagram. We'll talk to y'all later.